3 up, 2 across, tap that play button 3 times, and walk through the archway into Dialogue Alley. Hello, and welcome to Dialogue Alley, a podcast about Harry Potter books, book translations, and all other things magical. I'm Erik.
I'm Carly.
And I'm Melanie.
And we are all Harry Potter book translation collectors. That means we like Harry Potter books so much that we buy books from all over the world and put them on our shelves in our basements or spare rooms or wherever. Because there are a lot of different translations and versions of Harry Potter books in different languages. So, not only do we love those books, we love other Harry Potter stuff too. For instance, Carly, what do you really like too?
I love rare and signed things. That is where I started collecting, in fact.
What about Funko Pops, Carly?
Oh, don't even.
Melanie, what else do you like?
I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say that my love for my Harry Potter Funko Pops has recently gotten revamped and re-enlightened
because of a supersized event that maybe happened.
I know. I feel like this kind of like delves into news, but like I went to the mall with my family just on a whim, and what happens to be on the back shelf in Newberry Comics, but the supersized Harry Potter that's on eBay for like $150. I've only been able to find it for $150 and shipping and blah, blah, blah everywhere. It is marked $99.99 and was on sale for 20% off. So I bought it, and then I carried around this big giant. I like carried around this big doofy box with this big doofy smile on my face all around the mall, and I'm so happy about it. He's like my new co-host. He's like sitting right next to me because he's massive Harry Potter Funko Pop.
You sent the picture, and it's like the size of you. It's huge. Like it's a giant Funko Pop. It's gigantic.
Yeah,
but how awesome was the smile on her face? I loved it.
Oh, it was completely genuine. I am so stoked to have this thing. And there's so many, I mean, we could talk about this in news too, but there's so many new Funko Pops that are coming out. And
there's one that I would really love to have. But we can talk about that later.
Yeah,
okay.
I also collect Funko Pops in addition to Harry Potter books from all over the world, Erik.
You do, and I don't. I collect Harry Potter books from all over the world, and that's really it. I have other collections that are not Harry Potter related, so I got to keep it to something. I have some limit.
We have to have lines. We have to have like boundaries.
We do, but I think the common denominator is that we all like Harry Potter in whatever capacity that we can handle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a great episode for you today. We have kind of a deeper dive into all the books available in Spain. So we're really looking forward to kind of going into all the translations that are available in Spain, because it's not just Spanish, right? There's a lot of other languages they speak in Spain. And
that's right.
Not only are these different languages, there are some books with unique artwork, which we're a huge fan of in the translation collecting community.
Yes.
Totally.
That's
in
the top 5 reasons why I collect these Harry Potter books, I would say that it's either number 1 or number 2 is
it's
this
number
cover
1
art. So
number 1 for me for sure. Like that's why I started collecting translations, because of the artwork. Absolutely.
Yeah. That was a big driver. I think it was for everyone that does it, actually, because it's just so fun.
It is fun. And even if like you're not going for all of the translations, having 1 or 2 that just look spectacular on your shelf as like a showpiece, if you're kind of having like a little Harry Potter corner in your house or your office or something, like they're great to kind of have to just offset the, I don't want to say mundane, but like the classic mundane Harry Potter art that everyone is used to.
I thought mundane, actually. But it's true. Like, it's fun to pull out, like, for me, it was the Italian Goblet of Fire when I first started noticing translations, like, a long time ago. But, like, when I was still just doing rare and signed things, I didn't pull, but you know, I thought how fun it'd be to like pull the Goblet of Fire Italian off a shelf and be like, this is the Goblet of Fire. This is Italy. Like, it's such a neat cover, right? And it is.
Absolutely. Totally. So we'll get a little bit more into that in our main segment. But before that, let's talk about some news in the Harry Potter world.
So we have like a couple of cute little like tidbits of news. Besides my jumbo Harry Potter Funko Pop that has made its way into my house and my heart. There are some other Funko Pops. I know we've like talked about it in the past, but like they're actually starting to hit shelves. So this new wave of pops you might start seeing. So there's Ron in the Blue Ford Anglia, which I think is the one that Carly was probably talking about. That is the one that she's like stoked for.
That one, well, I've wanted that one since years, but also the Ollivanders one that's already been made.
Yeah, that one, the Ollivander one is like now it's available. It was supposed to be available quite some time ago, and the day that it launched and I was like refreshing my computer like crazy, like there was like some sort of glitch or whatever in the system, and it wasn't available for quite some time. So now Ollivander is available. I have him on my shelves. He's amazing. But there's the Ron, there's McGonagall with the castle, there's Madame Rosmerta, and a bunch of other scenes from Hogsmeade. And there are also 2 New York Comic Con exclusives as well. And they're actually relatively easy to find, and I have been able to get them for like decent prices on eBay. It's Neville like kind of floating in the air being held up by some pixies, which I thought was amazing.
That's clever.
Yeah, so cute. And then there's also Harry with like a basilisk fang. So those 2 are really cute, and like I said, they're on eBay. So if you want to get them, they're pretty accessible. But Eric's got some exciting news coming up. If you would like to share, Erik.
Yep, I bought 10 versions of the Neville Pixies Funko Pop, and I have arranged them. No,
yeah,
I'm
okay.
kidding.
That is not believable by a lot.
I've transformed my guest room at my house into a Neville Pixies Funko Pop bonanza. Bonanza. No, I have booked a trip to Orlando in January to go to the Wizarding World, which is, I'm so excited. I haven't been since before the Hagrid ride has been there. So the last time I was there was when the Dueling Dragons, which got changed into the Dragon Challenge roller coaster, was still there, which I loved. I loved that roller coaster so much.
Me
so
too.
Sad to have it. Sad when it went, but I mean, everything about the Hagrid ride has just sounded incredible.
Phenomenal.
Right? So
my favorite coaster. You're gonna love it.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited to go on that. The Velocicoaster is open. I'm so excited for that.
Ooh, I want to know how that is.
I know. My sister has been on it. She says it's awesome. My neighbor's been on it. Says it's awesome. Melanie says it's awesome.
It's the most intense roller coaster I've ever been on. It's insane.
I love a good coaster. Oh my goodness.
Oof. It's wild. There's only one terrible thing about your trip, Erik.
It's that I'm not going the same time you're going.
I think I'm going the week before that you're going. I'm so upset. But it's because my annual pass runs out the weekend that you're going. So, like, it just makes more sense for us to go the week before. And, like, flights are much cheaper and whatever. So
I should totally go the week after Erik then. So it can be like 1, 2, 3. And it's like
1, 2, 3.
ships in the night where we just miss each other.
We'll leave notes for each other in Nocturnally.
Well, I did that, right? I've told you both about that. So I went to Disneyland. I love Disneyland. I go to California. I'm not a Florida Disney World person. I mean, I am, but if I have to pick, Disneyland is still my favorite. And I could talk about that for a whole podcast, right? So if you have a Disney podcast, I'll be on it and talk about it. But I went to Disneyland in August, and I wrote a note, and I hid it somewhere in Frontierland, and took pictures of where I hid it. And my uncle, who went with one of his friends, and like we're both from Minneapolis, so like my uncle flew out to California in September and found the note that I left for him in Disneyland in Frontierland. So like
Y'all
it made
should
it like
totally
a whole
do that. I'll share it in
month.
stories.
So, yeah, so
I'm gonna do it.
that's what I said. So we are totally doing it. So Melanie's gonna like leave a note somewhere in one of the Universal Studios parks and see if I can find it a week later. Hopefully,
I mean, it's
it
gonna
doesn't
have to
have
be. I have to do it in Diagon Alley. Like that's where the note's gonna have to be. I just have to find a really good spot.
True, and I mean it's Florida, so there's a lot more rain than California. So we have to make sure it's in a dry spot. But yeah, I'm excited. So hopefully that will work.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can't wait to see how it goes. Like, how fun is this? And then I could go the week after, and Eric could leave a note for me. It'll be fun.
Oh, that would be so great.
That would be
so
great.
if anyone's listening, I'm going January 27th and 28th to the parks. It's a Friday and a Saturday. The last one's in January. So if you're going, I'll be there, doing my thing. So you can say hi to me if you want to.
And I'll probably be going the week before. So same goes.
Yeah, and I don't go often, right? Like, I live in the middle of the country in the north. So, like, when I go to Universal, I don't just, like, hang out in the Harry Potter area. Like, I'm doing it all. So, it's not like I'm just going to be, like, chilling in, Hogsmeade
The Leaky
for
Cauldron?
7 hours, right? Like,
I mean,
I'm going to be there, but
I do a bit of both, I'll be honest. I spend a great deal of time eating ice cream on those steps. So, that's
Ice
my
cream
jam.
is so good, though.
I'm hoping it's slow enough where I'll have time to just kind of take it in, but like if it's super busy, I don't know. Who knows? But I'll be there the 2 days. I want to try to get as much done Friday as I can, and then maybe Saturday I can take it a little bit slower and maybe have more time.
It's
to
such a good time
hang
to
out.
go to the park because it's not ridiculously hot.
And that's again why like I'm excited. Well, and my sister lives in Tampa, so she's gonna meet me up there. So that'll be nice to see her too. So it's gonna be a fun trip. I'm looking forward to.
Awesome.
Excellent.
The other bit of news that I'm excited to share with you guys also is that my Deluxe Illustrated of Order of the Phoenix came.
And what do we think?
I mean, it's massive. I was pretty sure that my shelf was gonna buckle, honestly, when I put it on.
Well,
my
I was going to
shelves.
ask, like, did you spend like 3 weeks at Planet Fitness, like bench pressing in preparation of like bringing the package in from your front step?
I should have, especially considering my British regular Illustrated came in the same package, so it was quite hefty. But
such a
yeah,
book.
so far the shelf is holding up with all 5 of my Deluxe Illustrateds on it. Fun fact, I made a cute little TikTok about like the Deluxe Illustrated, literally just me like putting them on my shelves, and it's doing better than all of my other TikTok videos, and I'm pretty proud of
How much
that.
does all 5 of them weigh? And congrats, by the way. How much do all 5 of the books weigh?
Oh God, I have no idea. So much. They're so heavy and they're so big.
What are your shelves, Melanie?
They're Hemnes.
Oh yeah, I
that's
have some
right.
of those,
You have
but
good-
not like for my
those are
actual
good
shelves.
Yeah, they're a bit more substantial, I feel like, than Billy's. Like one of the shelves is kind of like secured to the sides. It is not actually one of the shelves that like these books are on, but I might change it just so it has like a little bit more support going forward. But
And
yeah,
these are for listeners. These are both from IKEA. Like Billy and Hemnes are both IKEA shelves. I think Billy's are fine for like just books, but if you're doing like what Melanie does and adding Funko Pops and £1,000,000 books from the UK.
Well, I will say that my Billy's held up okay. Like, because I had box sets on the top shelf of all of my Billies, like on the very top shelf. And that's where I put most of my box sets, although not all. But at one point, I had over 100 Funkos, and I had some really heavy stuff. I will say it is plyboard, so if you want actually better wood, the Hemnes is a better deal for that.
That's
so,
the difference.
I mean,
That's the difference.
Yeah.
Hemnes has like the shelves themselves are actual wood instead of any sort of fake thing.
Don't knock the Billy.
No, the Billy. If all you're doing is what I'm doing and like just stacking books on them like a bookshelf, the Billies are totally fine. They're not going to sag or anything. But if you're adding like these gigantic illustrated deluxe edition books. Like, the Billies were not designed. Like, they're not.
I'm still stuck on the weight of the 5.
I don't know.
I bet when all 7 come out, it's going to be
let you know.
Wonderful. I bet when all 5 come out, we're going to be looking at, I would say, over 50 pounds in 7 books, if not more.
I'm kind of disappointed that you don't have Billies. So, like, as you're putting it on, you can't be like, "Come on, Billy, hang on."
I know. I did cross Billy, my fingers when I put this book on the shelf. I'm not gonna lie, because she's a biggie.
Well, what do you think of it?
Of the illustrated editions, just looking at it as a physical book, because you guys all know how I feel about Order of the Phoenix. As a physical book, it's probably my favorite of the Deluxe Illustrated so far because of the contrast. It's the material that they use is black, so it's black with gold foiling, and just the contrast of that is so amazing. It's also the most foiling that they've ever used on the actual book itself. When you open it up, it's all gold foiling of where Grimmauld places. So it's beautiful. Like, you take the book out and it really is like breathtaking because there's just so much gold. It still has the gold gilded edges, which are amazing. The cloth bookmarks that are sewn in are black and a gold color, which are amazing. The only thing that I know that's been like slightly controversial is the slip cover on the outside is like, it's a galleon, which is gorgeous, I think, because it's a galleon is gold, right? So like, you have this gold that's on it, so it's beautiful. But you know, something that we talked about when we talked about the illustrated edition a few episodes ago was how Neil Packer, all of the Neil Packer images had the initials next to it, which is great because like you can see all of the Neil Packer images throughout the book, but I do know that it's like a bit controversial that every single image has a little NP on it, especially when you can flip to the back and you can see all of the images that he's done, or you can like kind of tell the difference between his work and Jim Kay's work. Like, it doesn't necessarily need the little signature on every single thing. So to have this beautiful striking galleon on the slipcover and then having the little NP on it also is like a bit distracting maybe. But I don't know. I still think out of the 5 Deluxe Illustrateds, I still think it's my favorite.
Is that galleon image on the front cover of the slipcase, is that also featured in the book?
I believe
somewhere?
So. I think so.
I think so too, because when I was flipping through, I remember looking at that image, and as much as I don't mind that it has the NP within the book, because it really is nice to be able to say like, oh yeah, this was a Neil Packer. Like, it gives credit where credit's due, even though it is at the back. I don't find it as distracting throughout the main book as I do on the cover. So I feel like they just lifted the same image when they did the like embossed, cover on the slipcase, and I do feel like it could have been omitted on the slipcase. And that, I don't know, that's just me personally, and I don't know. It's not horrible by any means, but I do feel like it doesn't need to be there. Just like much the same as like when you see like a copyright logo or like a trademark.
Yeah.
Like on something, you're like, we all know it's trademarked, we all know it's copyrighted, but like it just really, detracts from like the cover or like whatever image is being put out.
No,
there.
I agree. I agree with you. I do also feel like, after our skim through of the illustrated edition that we did, in one of our previous episodes, like you almost become blind to it, like as if it's that like little trademark symbol or that little copyright symbol. Like we see that on a day-to-day basis all the time, and it's so natural to us. So like you kind of see it and you know what it means, but you don't really acknowledge that it exists. I feel like it's kind of like that, like a little bit. Like you don't really notice it until you notice it, Right.
Yep.
Right. I agree.
Overall, oh my God, this book is so pretty. It's so pretty.
Is it worth the price?
I'm so glad you love it.
Is it worth the price? I mean, listen. I'm always
it's a good question.
I'm
like,
always gonna say yes, because I definitely think these books are worth it. They are, out of any of the books on my shelves, they are the highest quality book that I have on my shelves. Like, there was zero expense. Like they put everything that they had into this book. The gilded edges and the bookmark and the high quality like clothing and the slipcase, like everything that is on this, the foiling, it's just so high quality. Like, I get why it's as expensive as it is, and it looks luxurious, and it's everything that I want in a collector edition of a book. It's everything that the US collector editions are not. So
right. Well, and to compare it to like another fandom, right? If you're a video game person, they always come out with like collector editions of a game, right? So
sure,
it might come in like a special case with like a little figurine and like a special booklet and a like metallic stand for whatever you want to put on it. Like, sometimes those are like the same price as this, like $100-$200, right? That's a lot. And sometimes, like, I've bought a couple of those, and I don't feel that they necessarily match the value, like the dollar amount that I've put into it for what I'm getting out of it, even though it's the collector's edition. But I do agree with you. Like, I only have the Philosopher's Stone collector's edition, like deluxe edition illustrated, and I agree with what you just said. Like, you can tell, like, I mean, it's like $175 book that retails. It's ridiculous, but you can feel the quality in every ounce of the book. Like, I don't feel like I'm getting, like, I'm not paying for just the title collector's edition. I'm actually paying for something that is like a collector quality edition.
100%. 100%. Yep. You're absolutely right. And
I'm not just paying for like a limited number. Like, it's number 29 out of 400, right? Like, I'm not paying for just a number. I'm paying for the actual quality of the materials.
Also, something Peter had said when he was on is that, like, Amazon will do these sales every so often where these books will be like crazy marked down. So you never know what's going to pop up. Like, they could definitely pop up for a cheaper price. I am not a person that could wait. Like, I needed to have the book as soon as humanly possible. So that's why I pre-ordered mine. But if you can wait for it, this isn't like a book that's going to vanish and be impossible to find. So if you can wait and are okay waiting, then it'll pop up for a cheaper price. Like,
yeah, that's how I got my Chamber of Secrets Deluxe on Amazon. I paid, I think, $37 for it.
Yeah, and
oh wow.
Oh, well, that one is, I got that one too, but it was because that one was Scholastic.
Right. But I have the others. They all go on deep discount. I just stick them in my Amazon cart, and when the price fluctuates, I get a notification that says this went down or up or out of stock.
That is a great idea, because
so currently all of them live in my cart right now.
I should do that, because I only have the first book, and I think, well, you were both there when you talked me into buying yet another thing on this show.
That's teamwork.
And I got one, right? And I do, after getting a deluxe edition of these, I do see that they are actually really great. So I would like to get more, I think, but I'm not necessarily like needing more right now. So I would do what you did, Carly. I would put them in my cart, wait till they go on a discount, and buy them sporadically in whatever order they become the cheapest at, because I don't need them right now. But if I never get them, I'm not going to be upset. But if I do get them, I'll be happy. So
there you go.
I am going to have to get this one, because I will have to say, like, the deluxe, the Order of the Phoenix Deluxe is by far my favorite.
It's beautiful. Oh my God, it's
so it'll happen. I'm hoping for a sale.
Well, I'll need to buy like a stainless steel giant shelf to put like in the corner just for these books, because they're coming out with all 7. Like, you're gonna need like I don't know,
something. You're gonna need something sturdy. I will say though that there are some books that we're gonna talk about real soon that you don't need a mega enforced shelf for. And those are the books we're going to talk about in our main segment.
So what we're going to talk about is the books from Spain. How cool is that? And there's more than, like what Erik said earlier, there's more than just one. Spain is actually a rich area for Harry Potter books. It's linguistically delightful, right? And we have 5 different Potter translations and 1 adaptation that come out of Spain. How neat is that?
Super neat. So in our list of 98 now, oh my gosh, because the new Croatian is in the mail. It's coming to our houses. In the 98 translations, adaptations, different versions of the first book, we now have 98. So Spain actually counts for 6 of these, which is great.
6 of them,
so,
which is really
like Carly
nifty.
Said, as nifty as the 50 nifty, Carly?
Oh, gosh, you guys.
Oh, yeah. I was going to find that song and send it to Melanie. I'll do it later.
Yeah, we never did. Okay, well, I'll do that later, Melanie.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Thanks. We'll both do that annoyingly later.
I can't wait.
So, okay. I guess we'll just go in alphabetical order. I think that's easier.
Yeah, I think so.
What I think is cool, too, and I'm just going to add that, is Spain, the books from Spain run the gamut from very easy to find, like the Spanish translation, and wicked, wicked hard, like the Asturian, which is the first book we're going to get to right now. So I've talked a lot about Asturian. We've all talked a lot about Asturian. It's one of the big 6 hardest translations to find out of Harry Potter. It's also called Babble, sometimes on different websites. So that's important if you're shopping around for an Asturian translation, that you need to be aware that it's like Oviedo is where kind of the heart of Asturia is. And it's sometimes called Babble for the language. So anyway, back to what we were saying is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone was translated into Asturian by Jesus González Rato and published by Trabe. And confirmed, only 700 of these were printed. So this book is almost as rare as the first print hardcover Philosopher's Stone out of England.
And it's crazy.
When Peter was on, like I specifically brought this up, like that. I mean, we know why the first edition, first printing of the hardcover Philosopher's Stone is worth so much money, but like in terms of quantity, like this is almost as rare. So yeah. I think that's really cool, and it's surprising to me how much this book is not talked about because of its rarity. But again, it's a very niche language in a country, so it's not like there's a giant global appeal for this specific translation
yet. But it's coming. I feel like the translation market, if nothing else, this is one that has a very unique cover. It is definitely an adaptation from the Spanish by I was going to say Dolores Umbridge, but that's entirely wrong. Dolores Avendaño.
Yeah.
And you can definitely tell where they pulled their artwork from, but they've done it very differently, and they have their own Harry Potter font that they've put on here. And I want to say that one of the owners or whoever, the illustrator, is affiliated somehow with the publishing company, which kept their costs down. So that's also fabulous.
Well, it's the only, like, of the 6 rarest translations, it's the only one with completely unique cover art. The other ones are either Thomas Taylor or Mary Grand-Pré.
I feel like that's what makes Asturian so like iconic almost for in the collector community, because so many of us started collecting because of unique cover art, and so many people just collect unique cover art. Like, so you might have people that collect translations, but they're not going to collect Macedonian, Greenlandic, or Nepali because they have either Thomas Taylor or Mary Grand-Pré art, which you could find that anywhere, but they might go after Asturian because it has that unique art. And also, Asturian is not a book like Basque, for example, which Basque has the same cover art as Spanish, which we'll get into that as well. But like if you were just collecting unique cover art, you might only get the Spanish translation or the Basque translation because that is unique to those. But Asturian, you have to get this translation to have this cover art.
Exactly. And importantly, I'm going to throw this in there. The title of the Asturian Harry Potter book is Harry Potter y la Piedra Filosofal. So the same as the Spanish. So if you're looking for this, one of my tips that I did before I got my copy was I actually kept an eye on all of the websites like eBay, ebay.de, FR, Spain, Amazon Spain, Amazon France, Amazon.de, and Amazon.com. And just kept an eye out on all of the Spanish books that were Harry Potter up for sale because chances are somebody thinks this may be Spanish. I mean, literally, I bought a Romanian translation of Prisoner of Azkaban that somebody said was Spanish. So it happens. We have all of these things. It's a very, very easy confusion. So keep an eye out. That's something like you can do is keep an eye out on the Spanish books for sale.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
Since I bought mine on Amazon Spain, right? And I didn't know it was there at the time. But since then, I've only seen one for sale on like a not private auction site like eBay. So I've seen one for sale on Total Collection. And unfortunately, the person that was trying to buy it, I was trying to help this collector. He's actually from France. They wouldn't ship this book outside of Spain, like that particular seller. So like Total Collection is notorious for like local pickup only, which in a region where this language is spoken, right, which is very small, you don't have to drive very far to cover the entire region to locally pick this book up. So like, yeah, sometimes it might show up, but you really need to cast a wide net and hopefully make a connection somewhere that someone can help you find this book, because it is really hard to get.
This is one of those that it can literally be like who you know. Like if the French collector would have had somebody in Spain he could have had the book shipped to, maybe he could have gotten that worked out.
Oh, and we tried. His name is Justin. He's a wonderful guy, and he helped me get my Room of Requirement set, actually. And like we tried everything, but the seller had already been like, "No, I found someone that'll like walk to my house and pick it up." So like it was like, oh,
that's
I know.
The worst.
So as a seller, right? I think all of us would be like, well, this person's going to walk over in 3 hours and pick it up versus me try to get it to someone to get it to France, right? So,
yeah, I mean, I
that's
get
just
it.
Total Collection, that happens on that website.
But it's one to keep an eye out all the same.
Exactly.
Because you never know. I think next on our little alphabetical list is Basque, which we talked about not too very long ago with Brock, which Basque is a really fun language, you guys. Like... It's unknown origin. It's quite old, we think, and it's a language isolate, so like it's not related to anything else around it. I mean, how cool is that? I could just nerd out.
Oh, it's so cool. When Brock was on there, and his wife is actually from Basque Country, so if you haven't heard that episode, it's season 2, so go back and listen to that. But we mentioned like there are words that if you're looking at this translation, you're like, oh, that looks like a Spanish word, and you're right. You're like, oh, that kind of looks like a Japanese word. You're also right. Like it's just it covers this huge range of different like languages for whatever reason, and it's just a really exciting translation.
Yes.
That is part of a region, not a country.
It's Basque Country.
Is really proud of their language, and they're keeping it going, which is really, really exciting for all of us.
And I believe the Basque books are out of print, aren't they? They're becoming harder to find. Especially book 1.
That was something that you guys talked about on the Basque episode.
I want to say...
I wasn't on that episode, but I loved listening to it.
I want to say that they're out of print now, because I know book 1 is getting harder to find, because that's where most of the demand is for the collectors, right, is book 1. You're not going to... Unless you just... I know people that do book 3 or book 5, but usually it's book 1, just... for obvious reasons. So that's getting harder to find. Also, much like Asturian had an also known as, so does Basque. It's also known as Euskara as well. So sometimes you'll see like Euskara language societies and whatnot, and that's Basque or Basque. So pretty neat.
Yeah, really, really, really cool. And I think worth mentioning too is that the Asturian that we just mentioned, it only has book 1 translated. That's it for now.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's very important.
So there's been rumors around like the translation community, right? That they might translate the second book. It hasn't happened, and those rumors have been going for years now. But the Basque books have been translated into all 7 books. So you can get all 7 Harry Potter books in Basque, which is really exciting.
And the title is very different from most of the rest of the Spanish because Basque is very grammatically different, very linguistically different. So it is very noticeable when you find Basque versus, Asturian and some of the others. It's I'm going to butcher it. I'm sorry, Brock. It's Harry Potter eta Sorgen Area. So very different. Like even just if you see Harry Potter eta, that's Basque. Very, very, very nifty. And importantly, Melanie's going to love this. Basque has pre-movies for 1, 2, and 3.
I'm pretty sure I have all 3. Hold on.
I'm pretty sure you do. I know I do.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure you do.
Whew. I do.
But yeah, that's also something
amazing.
we like to have is that, which languages have the pre-movie. Basque is definitely one of them, which means it translated earlier on than some of the languages. Like Asturian was published in 2009, I believe. And Basque was much earlier because it made it before the first movie came out in 2001. So very cool.
That is so exciting. And we talked about this on the episode that Brock was on. Like, how amazing that when you think of languages that quickly realized that the Harry Potter books were going to be very popular and we should get a translation now, like Basque was one that got on board right away. Like,
good for
alongside language giants like French and German and Italian, right?
Spanish.
Chinese, Japanese, right? Like all these Spanish, right? All these languages that are spoken by like millions of people around the world, and Basque is like, we're doing it, guys. We're doing it. Let's get in.
And they
Let's
joined
get on the
club.
ground floor. Yeah,
I love it. I love it. I
really,
love
really
these
cool.
exist. Like, I would love to learn Basque, not only so I could go there and like talk to the people and talk to them in their own language, but just to sit and read Harry Potter and see what is so culturally different to make Harry Potter accessible to the Basque culture. We talked about that some with Brock in that episode that we've already mentioned, but it's different when you're the one reading it, right?
Right.
And I also want to just throw in really quickly that the Basque translation of Harry Potter was published by El Carlanian. Sorry for mispronouncing that, I'm sure. And translated by Iñaki Mendeguren. I like to make sure to mention everybody who's a part of the publishing of some of our favorite books, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Let's see. Moving on. Moving on in our alphabetical list, we have Catalan, which is an adaptation. No, not Catalan. Catalan is actually the translation. We have another adaptation later on. So Catalan is really, really, really neat too. I lived in Spain for a bit for school, but I hadn't heard Catalan spoken until 4 or 5 years ago when I was doing the Book That Lives project with Harrison, when I started paying a lot of attention. I may have heard it spoken, but not knowingly, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So
yeah.
It is really fun. Catalan is another Romance language, much like, Spanish, Asturian. And it is also quite old. It comes after it's named after the medieval Principality of Catalonia in northeastern Spain, which I think is so neat. I love the title or the name Catalonia. Also interesting is that the official language of Andorra is Catalan, and it's a co-official language of the Spanish autonomous communities of Catalonia, Valencia, and the Balearic Islands. How neat!
Love it.
And we've talked about this. Harry Potter is very, I think, popular in Catalan because they have a lot of different editions, right? Lots of different wonderful cover art.
Surprisingly, I think Catalan is like the language that has, aside from Spanish, right? But like of the languages available in Spain, it's the translation that has the most.
They have a bunch.
Versions of the books or iterations of the book, and I think
unique
it's also,
ones.
Yeah, that's what it's. Yeah, I was going to say worth mentioning, like unique to Catalan. So really exciting.
Yep. And what is so fun, like I remember in one of our episodes, like very early on in the podcast, we were talking about the very first edition first date of the Catalan Philosopher's Stone when Erik was like, I would have just loved to have sat at the table for the cover meeting, like, yeah, guys, let's go. That's a wizard. Let's stick it on the cover. Or whatever you said that was so funny.
It's like, who's got a picture of a wizard? I got one. All right,
hey,
we're
my
good.
Uncle dresses up like a wizard. I'll just have him stand here.
Yes.
And we'll crop out the background. Stick it on some purple.
What was funny
I think the cat...
Go on.
Go ahead, Carly.
I was going to say, I think it was McAllister who found... Because it's just a Google, or not a Google Images wizard, but it's just like...
Stock image.
It's a stock image.
It's just
it's
a stock image
Yeah, free
wizard.
to use stock image.
And I want to say it was McAllister who found this same stock image wizard used on some other's product out of Spain.
I think so. At least someone in our Discord did.
Yeah, because I remember they posted it and
else.
it made me chuckle.
That's so funny.
What I think is interesting about this version of Catalan, because it was also published pretty early on. Mm-hmm. Right? And
it was.
It's obvious to me, even though I don't live in Spain, that the people that were considering picking up this publication were like, yeah, this might be a big deal, but, you know, like, we're going to just do it, but not really do it. Like, we're not going to focus our full attention on it because it wasn't super popular yet. Like, we're gonna do it and see, right? So that was kind of the lead in to the second state where they're like, well, wait a second, we published this book and everyone wants it, so we're gonna have to change it a little bit and try a little bit harder. So they did in the second state of the Catalan version.
Yes, they actually picked images or, you know, had art that was drawn for the covers, and it's delightful, kind of cartoonish, but so delightful. Cute. Yeah,
it's cute. It's almost like you would see it like when you would buy a newspaper and find like the comic strips. Like it kind of reminds me of that. Like that's what Harry reminds me of. But for this, they came out with books 1 through 3 with the same style cover art, which I love because I love the book 1 of the second state. So the fact that there are 3 of them is like pretty phenomenal.
I would have loved to have had the whole series.
Oh, 100%. They're so cute.
As like picturing myself as a kid in a bookstore, like looking at the first state, if you picked it off the shelf, you're like, hey, you're gonna love this book. I'd be like, nah, no, I'm not gonna like it. But like the second one, even like the second state, it's still like it's cute, but I still don't think I'd be like, yeah, that looks great, I'm gonna read it. But us as collectors are like, yes, it's a new art. But the other versions, I think, are a little more captivating. I mean, I hate saying it because they stole some art. Not stole, right? They obviously paid to use the
that's strong words.
The UK version, right, of the art for some of them.
Right. Yeah, they have the deluxe versions for 1 through 4, and then they have the I say the Thomas Taylor, but they have the first edition Bloomsbury art on their hardcovers, and now they're available in soft covers as well.
It has like an orange top. I know. I also have. I'm like turning around to look. I have the Pottermore cover art. I have the Hufflepuff one, and there's one other that I can't tell what it is just by looking on my shelves. But when I was in Barcelona, I was able to grab a bunch of them, so I grabbed whatever they had.
Oh, and it's so easy to do, right? Like they're still very much still present.
Right, they're still making more, which is awesome.
Yeah. I got I have quite a bit of the Catalan editions by this point. I think we all do. Like, if you want them, they're there. The hardest ones, of course, to find are going to be the first state. And then, you know, the first edition books 2 and 3, just because they're harder to find, right? Enough time has gone by and demand is going up, collectors and blah, 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 that, you know, they're harder to find. Right, but they're still around.
If you want the text block, like, it's available. Like, Catalan was one of the first translations, like, in the first 20, I think, that I acquired. My roommate studied abroad in Spain. He knew I collected books. He brought me back the, like, Thomas Taylor art soft cover Catalan book. And it was awesome. Like, super great that he brought that back for me. And I still have it. It's one of my favorite books that I have in my collection just because there's a sentimental story behind it. So it's still available and pretty easy to get.
Yep, I think so. I think so. Moving on, we have Galician, or the Galician translation of Harry Potter, and interestingly, Galician is also known as Gallego, and they also printed all 7 books, and this is found in the Galicia area of Spain and published by Editorial Galaxia, and they just kind of adapted the Spanish book cover art as well, and it's the same art, just blue background instead of the yellow border and stuff. But I like them.
I think the blue's pretty striking though. Like it's the same cover art, but it's put on a blue, like blue boards.
I could just see that
blue
meeting
spine.
where
like it.
Take the cover and make it blue.
Let's make it blue. They'll never know.
Make it blue. Make it pink.
Blue.
Make it
pink.
Exactly.
But I do like that it's blue. Like it's a nice. I don't know. It's a nice change on my shelf. Like, not a lot of books have a blue spine, so it's cool to have one.
Yeah.
See, I can rationalize this book at like my collector brain, right? I always have my rules for myself, right? So I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not going to get this book because, it's the same cover art as this book. So I'm not going to collect, I don't know, the entire set for the new Mongolian because it's all Johnny Duddle art, and I have another set of Johnny Duddle art.
But this is new.
But
it's
in
blue.
my head, I know that's like I could I'm not going to, like, I don't need this whole set, but I could, like, if I sat down and was like bored and needed books and saw them available, like, I could rationalize getting this whole set. For sure.
Oh, yeah.
Because I could be like, oh,
they're
it's
so
blue.
pretty.
So.
And they're so well made. We'll talk about it when it's a tots, I know. But I love these books. Like, these are some of my favorite books out of Spain. And they're also out of print. So, and they only have one cover. Like, I know there's a first and second edition. I've not heard of any later than that. I don't know how many were printed. But they're out of print, and book 1 is becoming very increasingly scarce. So much so that it's selling for $250, $300 now for book 1. 2 through 7 are still around somewhat easily.
Yeah, so all 7 are available. Like Catalan, I think we didn't specifically say, but based on the amount of editions, all 7 books are available in Catalan. All 7 are available in
right.
Yeah, all 7 are also available in Galician. So. Mm-hmm. They're out there.
And importantly, it's the Galician not only because it's got the wonderful blue boards, but the title is E.A. Harry Potter E.A. Pedra Filosofal. So slightly different from the Spanish and the Asturian. And the Catalan is E, like I, La. So you can tell a difference. Like, if you don't speak the languages, you can still look at them and say, this is that. So that's important to help you figure out what you're buying, so that way you don't accidentally buy something else that... or they tell you it's the Galician when it's actually the Spanish or Catalan or whatnot.
Right. And I think as a good, like, halftime pep talk, I guess, like, all of these books have an ISBN. Carly and I talked about this in a very early episode. Like, ISBNs are like numbers that
for
specify,
the most part.
Like, this. Yeah, for the most part. They are like an individual serial number for a book. So if you want to type that in somewhere,
for an edition of a book, it doesn't tell you print, but it'll tell you the edition.
Right. So if you're like really confused, like, there are ISBNs on Carly's website for all of these books that you can look up to be like, oh, yep, it matches. So this is definitely a Galician, or this is definitely a Catalan book.
I actually, fun fact, I memorized the Asturian ISBN for all of the book hunts, because sometimes they would just have like no image or stock image, but just the ISBN of the book, because that would be how they would list, right? It would be like a scanner that they would just scan the ISBN and list it. And be like, I memorized it just to make sure that I knew what it was I was buying.
Love that.
So,
that's
yeah.
great.
So they can be very, very helpful, especially in your more rare to find things where print doesn't necessarily matter and you just need the copy of the book, like the Asturian. Moving on, we have Spanish. And Spanish is quite murky. We've talked about it, I think, quite a bit amongst each other, and probably on the podcast as well, about there's a lot of different Spanish translations and lots of different regional dialects that they bring into being published. So it's kind of its own little rabbit hole that Potterglot has covered quite well, actually. Very, very well. But
yeah,
for the sake...
we've done whole episodes of... We did a whole episode on Spanish with Patricio, which was super informative. And then I also kind of did a summary recap episode as a bonus episode for our Patreons that had...
It's a lot.
A little bit of, like, just kind of like a quick resource on the information, because there is, like, so much information and it's so confusing.
So for the sake of just tonight, we're just going to talk about the Spanish Harry Potter books. We're not going to get into Latin America, South America, and Southern Cone and so on. But of course, the Spanish translation is widely available throughout Spain. And it also translated early. There's pre-movie editions of books 1 through 3. It was originally first published by Emese and then changed over to Salamandra. And they have a bunch of different covers of these books as well. The art was first made, I think, it was Dolores Avendano who was the cover artist, I believe. And very, very noticeably wonderful art. Like, you see it just like the German and other things you see, and you're like, oh, that looks like the Spanish book. It may be, of course, Basque or Galician if the words are blue, but it's very noticeable, very easily recognizable. And they're also available in hard and soft cover, which I didn't know until I bought a set thinking it would be hardcover, and it was definitely not. Ruined my day.
Womp womp.
I know.
That's the worst.
I know. I felt, and it was my own fault. Like, they had pictures of the book. I was just so excited because the prices were so good. It's like, oh, this is great. It's all 7. I'm done with my Spanish. And I mean, I like having all representations of the book, but I really wanted the hardcovers. So that was like a little black rain cloud, kind of.
I just looked at all of my Spanish books, like European Spanish, Latin American, Southern American Spanish. None of them are hardcover except for one, which is what our translation of the show is. And that blows my mind. Like, none of my Spanish books are hardcover, and I have a ton of them.
Wow.
I know.
That's actually pretty shocking.
It is. I just shocked myself just now.
Huh.
Like, literally, I stuck my finger on the outlet, and I was like, ooh. No, I didn't.
Does your hair look like a Tesla coil now?
Pretty much, yeah.
All over the place. And
it's crazy.
I think and I've got to say again, like, the art coming off the Spanish translations, there's a lot of unique covers as well. And they're really, really, really fun. Like, that's why I think all of us have so many different Spanish books, is because they're fun, and they're fun enough that you want to own all of them, which is a problem when they have a lot of different editions, which they do. They even have the house editions, which I wasn't going to get into collecting the house editions of the books, and it was actually the Spanish house editions that I loved the Slytherin one so much that I gifted copies. I gifted one to Melanie and several other people because I was they must have this book. It's so perfect. I must do that because the boards are beautiful. The jacket is beautiful, and it's different enough from the English house editions that is actually the Spanish house editions are the reason I started not collecting and not saying I'm doing it, but secretly buying the house editions from the languages that have them, and I'm quite mad about it.
Well, I'm so glad that you gifted one to Melanie. That's really great.
Eric's jealous.
Don't be jealous.
No, I'm not. That's fine.
What's really fun is that also the Tales of Beetle the Bard, which I also don't collect. Shh. We're not going to say that I do, although I do own this one, is also available in Spanish. And the cover is unique.
With unique cover. Right?
I know. I have problems.
I finally got this one. I have it now. It's great. Carly and I have secretly been collecting all the unique covers.
See, that's another thing that you guys collect. There you go.
I don't collect it, though.
But I don't like to say I do because I'm not trying super hard, but...
I just love it. And it's such a cute little book, but that's not the point. So the last book that comes out of Spain is actually also cool, just like the rest. And this one is an adaptation of the Catalan. So, and it is Valencian, out of the Valencia edition, Valencia area in Spain, right? Which is a beautiful area in Spain. I think everyone should go. And the only books 1 and 2 are available in Valencian, and it was published by Tandem, and adapted, like I said, from the Catalan books. And from what little I've actually...
I was like, Carly's reading my text message as she's trying to continue on professionally with the podcast.
Right.
I knew what that hesitation was, like, exactly right there.
The Valencian
Thank you.
The Valencian adaptation is actually very, very similar to the Catalan, so they just decided, from my understanding, that there really wasn't a need going forward. So that's why books 3 through 7 weren't done, which is such a shame because the Valencian books are amazing. Not only are the boards like, it's a heavy book, like it's a stout book. It's well made, it's stout, the boards are thick, like the corners round a little bit, but it's a good book. Like well made, nice paper.
Yeah,
we talked about this with Peter one of the first times he was on a couple seasons ago, that I think this cover shows the most of the Thomas Taylor illustration than any of the other Thomas Taylor books, even the original British book.
They've kind of zoomed out the art.
Which is crazy to me. Like, how does a translation cover show more of the cover than the original version of the book?
Also, keep going. I was going to say what's also important is that the title for the Valencian and the Catalan is the same, but they're very different, right? Like, so the Catalan, as Melanie mentioned above, especially when you see like the Thomas Taylor hardcover Catalan, the top of it is orange instead of red, like the English one. The Valencian they've made, because again, it's an adaptation, so I think this is super clever. They have made it like a nice light teal color on the top.
So good.
Yeah, and it really goes with that Harry Potter art so well. So, and I mean, there's other things that'll let you know it's Valencian as well, but it's a very easily identifiable book. And again, only available
especially
in
because
books
there's like a red sticker printed on it that says like Valencian. Like,
but that's not on
right
book 2. That's not on book 2.
No, it's not. But both of book 1 and book 2 do have Tandem, the publisher, like at the way bottom under J.K. Rowling's like author space.
So it's an easily identifiable book. Like it's one of those. Same with book 2. Actually, I see them and I'm like, oh, that's Valencian book 2, book 1.
Right. Yep.
And so yeah, very, very, very neat. And I actually have a friend who lives in the Valencia area of Spain right now, and I asked her to keep an eye out for this book just because the copies, they're getting harder to find. They're not in print anymore.
I did not see these books at all. It was hard enough to find a bookshop in Valencia, let alone like there was no sign of Harry Potter there at all.
Well, period. She told me the book didn't exist, so that's how hard it is to find there.
I agree. Like my cousin's Spanish and his friends from Valencia, and he's like, yeah, it's not a thing. I'm like, it is. Here's a picture of it. And he's like, I've never seen it before.
Yeah, right.
And he grew up there, right? So that's crazy.
So yeah, books are hard. This book is getting increasingly hard to find, and it's reflecting in the price of it.
Yeah. I feel like it's always been on the higher side. Like, not to go into that because we'll do that in a tots for sure. But I
would agree.
I definitely feel like this book has always been on the harder to find side and on the higher side. I think I had to like trade my soul to Peter to get this book.
Actually, I would say out of all the books that kind of come out of Spain, all 6, I would say most of them, with the exception of Spanish, you have, even in Catalan, because you've got some that are in the higher, harder to find side, if you're not looking at text block, of course, that most of them are kind of harder to find.
Yeah, I agree completely.
So it takes some hunting around and stuff. So pretty cool. Anyway, that's kind of the books of Spain. I love them. I love all of them. And in fact, I've got most of them. I'm still finishing up my Spanish books.
Well, there is one more Spanish book that we need to talk about, and that is our translation of the show.
Fabulous!
Is that the new translation of the show? That's the sound.
No, but I never got to do it in the Halloween episode because I hosted that segment, so I thought I'd throw one in.
Oh, good.
So the translation of the show is the book club version of the Spanish version of Philosopher's Stone.
The only books of Spain to have a book club is the Spanish.
Yeah, they're the only ones. And like the text block is the same as the regular Spanish. So like if you're collecting translations and you're only doing unique art, conceivably you could get this for your Spanish book, right? And get like Basque for your cover version.
You could.
Yeah, you could.
Totally.
So like everything about this book is the same as the Spanish book. It's the same translator. It's the same text block. The publisher is a little bit different. It's Círculo de Lectores, which is a different publisher, but it mentions in the copyright page that it's like courtesy of MSA. So like most book clubs, it's like teamed up with a bigger publisher. We've already covered Spanish extensively in a few past episodes, so we don't need to go into the details of the Spanish language. But we should reiterate that many people speak Spanish around the world in many different countries. So it's just it's one of those languages that they're never going to stop publishing books in because it's always going to be around, which is great in terms of language preservation. So don't have to worry about that. On a scale of 1 to 5, what would you two say about the rarity of this book?
Definitely harder to find.
Really?
Yeah.
You think so?
I
really?
do.
I feel like I had posted on like Reddit
but
saying
it's getting that way. At least to here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe not Spain.
It's hard for me to say because, like, when I was looking for it, I did not have a difficult time. Like, I posted to Reddit saying, hey, I'm looking for these books. And someone said, here's a link where you could get these books. And then I said, cool. And then I got the like, all 5. Like, really easily.
I would say it's a 3. It's probably available on, like, local sites like Todo Colección, Facebook Marketplace, and similar.
Yeah.
But I've not seen it on the wider e-commerce marketplaces like Amazon, eBay, and whatnot. At least not for, you can find them, but they're pretty expensive. So that's kind of why I'm like at a 3. So harder to find.
I'm going to say out of principle, 2.5.
Yeah.
I
would say
that's
the
where
art's
I was fluctuating
but I've also
between
heard
2
tale
and 3.
that like
so
people are looking for these and they can't find them. So I don't know how hard they're looking though, to be fair.
So value, like if you were to go on a site, what would you expect to spend that you'd be like, yeah, that's a fair amount?
I paid $5 for mine, so
yeah, I would not spend a lot of money on these, especially because like when you see book club in general, it's automatically going to be a lesser quality book. So like it ties back to what we were talking before about with the Deluxe Illustrated Edition. You're paying for quality. You're paying for the quality, and the quality is not that great. So
it is very cheaply made, very evidently cheaply made.
I mean, we'll get into that more with the tots, but I would say like no more than like $20-$25.
There's several on eBay that are priced at like $250 and they're like rare with big titles, but that's way overpriced.
No. Don't do that.
That's
I would
like
say
Galician,
under
maybe
50
book one at that.
Yeah. I was thinking like under $50 including shipping from Spain.
I think that's good. I think that's solid because shipping is high right now.
It's kind of where I'm hovering around for my value.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, shipping's expensive right now. So like if you can get it for under 50 out of Spain, I think that's good. So let's smell this book, everybody.
My nose
let's
is a
get to
little
our
stuffy.
tot scale.
I feel like my tots is not going to be accurate. I'm giving it a pour. Even with my stuffy nose, I don't know.
Mine's pretty dreadful.
No, something dusty about it. I don't know, that I don't really like. There's something like sharp and dusty that I don't like. So I'm giving it a pour.
Mine's like the bad side of musky dirt.
Yeah, mine's kind of musky too. Man, I hate giving books a pour, but I'm going to go pour also.
Ha!
The cover's fun, at least, but yeah, mine's dreadful.
Well, you know what else is kind of fun? I honestly, to me, the size and proportions of this book are pretty good. I would give it.
I love the size and proportions.
Man, like not quite an O, but definitely for me, it exceeds expectations on the size and proportions. It's a really good size book for me.
I agree
totally
entirely.
Agree. Exceeds expectations.
Awesome. So 3 E's. Pew pew pew. I don't know what. We still need a "we all agree" sound effect.
Yeah, isn't that's like on a game show? Like there's a game show.
Yeah,
it's
it
like
is.
you get extra points if you all agree.
If you all agree. The how it feels in your hand, to me, actually, like it feels pretty good. Like it's a good size, right, for size and proportions. It's a comfortable book to hold. It's not too heavy. The margins to me are fine.
Yeah,
I would not say like the most incredible book I've ever had, but I'm gonna say it's like let's say between an E and an A.
Mine's like an A plus E minus.
I'm gonna go E on this one. Actually, like it's a pretty good sized book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say how it feels in my hand. I'll say E for how it feels in my hands.
I'll go with the consensus.
Yeah, I like how like stout it is, if that makes sense. Like I feel like
it's stout.
Totally.
Yeah.
She's stout, so that's how I feel. I don't know. I feel like that makes it like feel nice in your hands. So I will give it an E.
I agree.
Perfect, Carly.
E.
Oh, 3 E's again. The quality of the book. We've all mentioned this, kind of prefacing our actual scale. Book club editions are generally not made.
They're not
as well. They're right. Like that's not the point of them. So, typically I have low expectations. However, for this one, I feel like the spine is all right. Like my book is held up well. It's clearly been read. So, comparing it to other book club editions, I think it's pretty well made.
It's not terrible.
Comparing it to not book club editions, it's still just a little bit less of quality. So, but I'm gonna give it an A, honestly, like for book quality. I think
for
it's
book
made
club
totally
book quality, an A is fine. We've seen much worse.
Yeah,
I agree. I would give it an A as well. I feel like the paper quality is not great. I feel like the ink quality is not great. You could see that it's like, I don't know, they like pressed the book while the ink was still wet in some spots. So like,
I mean,
I don't know, it is what it is. But yeah, I don't know. I'll say it's acceptable. I feel like it holds up, which is nice because I have some book clubs that feel like absolute garbage. So
right.
Yeah.
I mean, book clubs were intended to cheaply distribute the book, which they've done. So they accomplished their mission. A for me.
Perfect. Oh, that's 3 A's.
Ding, oh my gosh, we're on fire.
We don't usually agree like that.
Whoop. No, we don't. But I do think we're also going to agree on the cover interpretation and the art. I'm like, man, I don't know.
I didn't know why Harry was standing on a giant bell for many years, and then I figured out it was the snitch, so I don't count. I love the cover, though.
Like, it's so difficult because any unique art, I want to give it outstanding. And, like, I feel like I want to do that for this one, too, so I probably will give it an outstanding.
But you're
However, I wish there was just a little bit more to it. It seems very simple. It's like, here's a blue background with Harry and a giant foot on a snitch.
Right.
Like, there's not much more to it.
But
I wish there was more.
Sweet Harry's face is. Like, his face is with the little almond-shaped eyes, like the droopy little. Oh, he's just precious.
And the colors used
are.
I love the colors used. It's simple art, but the colors are like wow in your face and vibrant. Like
because it's all like like it's
primary
essentially
colors,
like primary colors,
green.
right? It's like so like elementary school. Like this it's such a kid-friendly cover. If I was a kid and I saw this, I'd want to read Harry Potter. So it's an outstanding. It's
I would buy this one. I would choose this one over the trade edition by far.
I think I would too. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of seals it for me to say like I'm comfortable with the O is that on the back there's a different picture, right? Like I think that's always.
It's so cute.
Cool. Like it continues onto the back of the book. The spine looks great. It's blue with kind of white for the author and yellow for the title of the book.
Yeah.
It looks really cool. This is a cool book to have. Because sometimes, like in the American books, book club editions are just the same as the regular ones.
Just poorly made.
Just made more cheaply. Right. So this one, it's unique. It's exciting to me. It's worth having in your collection if you are especially going after unique art. This is one that you should pick up.
I agree entirely.
I love this book.
I would give it an O for the cover art. I'm sorry. I really, really like it, even though it's simple.
Oh, I think we're all giving it an O again.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
cue sound effect. The cover art is by Inomiza and Juanjo Calvo. So there are two people teaming up for this art.
Okay, I'll dig it.
One draws the straight lines and one draws the curves. I don't know. I don't know how they teamed up. Honestly, I have no idea.
I like it.
Well, that's it.
Well, there it is. There's Spain, book club, book one.
So many Spanish books we chatted about today.
I love them.
So
How
many.
Fun.
All right, so that's all the time we have today. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can find us on Instagram. We're all on there. Carly is on there at All the Pretty Books. I am on Instagram at Nocturne Erik. Melanie is on there at The Harry Potter Collection. There are also some fantastic websites that we supply for you lovely people. Carly has one called alltheprettybooks.net, which is where we got a lot of the information for today's episode. There's a lot of great pictures of the Spanish books. A lot of like good info, basic info about all the books. So check that out. I highly recommend it. And Melanie has a website called The Harry Potter Collection. How'd you think of that, Melanie?
That's it. That's
it?
me.
That's you. But we also have a website for this podcast, which is dialoguealley.com. You can check out the translation of the show. Will always be posted on there. You can listen to the podcast directly from that website. If you click on the little yellow book at the top,
That's
it's
right.
up there. It's up there. But not only can you listen to us there, you can listen to us anywhere that you listen to podcasts. Google, Apple, Spotify, Pandora, iHeart. We're on all the things. You can follow us on Twitter, which is at dialogue_alley. Melanie has a TikTok, which is the Harry Potter Collection. Surprise, surprise. And you can watch that viral video taking the world by storm.
It's not viral, guys. It's not viral in the least bit. But for me, it like I feel pretty proud of the fact that it has like as many views as it has, but it's like it has like no views, like in the grand scheme of things. But like I kind of just do the TikTok because I think it's fun. I think it's fun and it's silly, so I do it for myself. But if anyone else wants to see it, it's there. It exists.
There it is. It's on there. But what else is fun is supporting us. I don't know if maybe it's not fun. You can support us in any number of ways by listening right now, wherever you are listening. You are supporting us. Thank you so much for listening to our show. If you'd like to support us even more, you can find us on Patreon, which is patreon.com/dialoguealley. You can sign up for any number of tiers, and by any number, I mean 3. We have 3 tiers. And by doing so, you get extra perks and bonuses, which you can check out at your leisure, one of which you can listen to episodes ad-free. So if you'd like to do that, that's a perk. If you'd like to engage in a Discord community full of other Harry Potter translation collectors or genuine Harry Potter lovers, they're on there. Our Discord is a really safe space to express your fandom for Harry Potter, which I think all 3 of us constantly say, wow, this is a great community. I'm so glad that we have this.
We love it.
Totally.
Really cool. If you are listening to us on any other service, we highly encourage you to read a review. And by encouraging you to leave a review, we're going to read one right now. So this review is actually submitted via Apple on September 9th, pretty recent. And it was a 5-star review. And it says, great camaraderie and very informative. If you want to learn about language and discuss Harry Potter, you are in the right place. Great information and community for collectors. That was by Bob_86. If you're listening, Bob,
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you so much for your review.
That's so nice.
It is so nice. So if you want to be like Bob and leave a great review, we will read it on the show because I think we should reward that great review.
Be like Bob.
So, does anyone have anything else?
Uh-oh, did we lose Erik? Is he okay?
Uh-oh.
Be like Bob. I'm back.
Oh, there he is.
Okay.
Oh, God. I was so worried.
Okay. All right. So, with that being said, thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to check out any more Harry Potter related things, you can go to MuggleNet, which we are a part of. So they have a lot more Harry Potter resources and information for you to check out. So thank you, MuggleNet, for being part of our family. I don't know. Or for us being part of your family.
Welcoming us to the family.
Welcoming us to the family. Yes. So with all of that being said, it is time to walk back through the archway into our daily lives, and we will catch you next time on Dialogue Alley. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
See ya.